We held an event 2 years ago, and the whole topic was life after the exit. And we could speak about that for hours, but I will pose just a few questions on preparing for the transition. And Shireen, I'd like to ask you, in hindsight, were you personally prepared for life after the exit? Was philanthropy and writing a book an intentional goal for you?
Not at all. I was very, very unprepared. I think what happens, and I think you would agree to this, when you're going through a transaction, you have a second and a third job. You have to run the company. You have to make sure that you're continuing to show profit. You're doing well. It's a rigorous process. Due diligence is not fun. So I was doing all of those things, making sure that the teams are taken care of. Kind of in the back of my mind knew that I would move on, but I hadn't made any plans. And that's a problem. Because you don't have, it's like when somebody is doing a race, they don't end up at the finish line and just stop. They go for a little while. Yet we're expecting ourselves as executives, as people whose every minute basically is accounted for, and you're busy all the time, to wake up one morning, not have 350 emails already waiting for you, and figure it all out. Transitions are very, very hard, extremely hard. In my case, I was fortunate enough to have already been invited to be on boards. But honestly, philanthropy, I think that's where I oftentimes think that helping others seem to be being of service to others, but it's really self-serving as well. Because it helped me, at least, create an opportunity to use what I had learned to try to help others. So for me, philanthropy was a lifesaver. Of course, I was involved on for-profit boards. I've invested in companies. I've helped other companies grow in the meantime. The idea around creating a next phase of life is a tough one. It requires really a lot of self-reflection, asking yourself the same questions I would hope you ask as an operator, as a CEO. What am I doing here? Why would people want to utilize my talents? Who am I, and where do I want to go? So those questions you'd have to ask, and they're much more difficult to answer when you're on your own. But I did, and eventually, based on the feedback that I received, in fact, it was my children that sat me down and said, "Mom, write a book, because it's time to write a book. You can't help people individually." That was the idea around the book, to reflect on lessons learned and principles that I learned to try to help others with a roadmap so that they can also build and grow. So it naturally ended up there, but I wish I had better planning ahead of time so that I wouldn't go through all of the challenges that I ended up going through. People end up having all kinds of health issues after stepping down because it is that tough an adjustment.
When we had our event 2 years ago, one of the people said that they were so unprepared, they forgot that their cell phone plan was part of the company, and all of a sudden, they didn't have a cell phone anymore. They were not prepared even from that standpoint.
Totally, yeah, laptops, everything.
Everything.
It's amazing. Contacts.
Car, the whole bit.